Nils, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. Today we are talking about the industry status quo in the automotive industry. So car OEMs, dealers, Chinese versus European manufacturers. So a lot of stuff is going on, and you haven't been yet on the show. So please introduce yourself and tell us why you are so capable about those industries.
Hey, Alex. Yeah, happy to be with you today. And shortly from my side, I'm Nils Radsak, actually originally from Germany, but based currently in Sao Paulo. This is a long story, but we are coming to that point as well. I started actually after a short career approach in sports. I did my apprenticeship in engineering in Germany. And afterwards, I studied normal, actually, business administration in Germany and the United States. And then after a little bit in consulting, I joined the automotive manufacturer, one of the biggest, the Volkswagen Group. And I was with them almost 12 years. Latest, I was the CIO, CDO of the brand Audi in Latin America, especially in Brazil, and had some function as well in the region Americas. So maybe that is why I may be capable to talk to you today, Alex.
Yeah, when I read about the Volkswagen Group, usually they are sharing that the Chinese market is one of the most important market for them from a growth perspective. And as you worked in the South American market, so can you share the importance of this market? So is it it's like Brazil the market to be, or is Chile number one? Chile's number one premium brand. Is this Audi? Are there some secrets in this markets you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, there are some secrets, maybe. Let's talk a little bit about Volkswagen in general, or about China in general. I think China is really a growing market, as everybody knows, in different industries, and especially as well in automotive. I think China has right now 9 automotive groups, and they're getting bigger and bigger and more innovative and more innovative. And that swaps as well to the different locations. And I think Latin America, especially Brazil, it's a super big country. So you can travel actually from north to south, I think 7 hours flight. So you can imagine how big the country is. It's almost 200 million people living in Brazil. And for example, Sao Paulo, where I'm located right now, that is, I think it's 12%. I think that was the last report. 12% of the global GDP is leveraged in Sao Paulo only. So you can see that is a super, super big market. And this is why as well Audi stepped in. I think that was in the beginning of the 2000s with a local production. Then they closed it again. And then afterwards in 2014, 15, 16, they started again a production in Brazil. So it's actually a really strategic positioning of the brand in this area as well. So in competition for sure with the other premium brands like BMW and Mercedes. And we can see right now as well, little bit coming the new kids from the block, say like that, like Tesla. And they're coming right now into the market, but really was really, really low volume. So especially I think it's a strategic approach to be in Brazil.
What is the electric car market share in the Brazilian market?
Wow, that is a good question. I do not have the numbers right now in mind, but it is not too big. It's growing steadily, really, really steep actually, but still we are not really selling that much vehicles. I think at Audi, the last year or the year before, it was I think 140, wanted to raise to 400 maybe. So you can see it's not, and it's for the whole country. Yeah,
140,000 cars.
No, 140.
140.
Yes. It is.
Okay, that's
not not much. It is really not much. So, and as well Teslas, I think really it's up to 10 vehicles running the roads right now, because for sure, if you do not have that much maintenance services where you can service the vehicle, you can import the vehicles by yourself, for example, that do some rich people maybe, but you can see you don't see a Teslas here running on the roads, not at all.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, let's maybe structure the podcast like vertical by vertical. Let's maybe focus first on the new tension between, or like the most recent tension between dealers and OEMs. So we have seen a lot of tension in the European markets. I guess it's more or less the same in the markets outside of Europe. It's not a Volkswagen thing. Like every OEM has this issue. I think it's wrong to say they want to get rid of the dealers, but in the future, it's hard to explain the dealer value for the customer journey by buying a car, right? So, and you've been working in this industry now for so many years. What is your Volkswagen neutral view on this question?
Maybe it's more a Nils view on that question, because I think even in Volkswagen, we have different opinions, and it is good so, okay, that you have different opinions and you can leverage these opinions to a different stage and improve the relationship with the dealers and even the actions or the process within the dealership. My point of view of the dealer is actually that they are super important. So there are and still will be the right hand of the OEMs or on the manufacturers, because they are selling the vehicles and they having the access to the customer that actually Volkswagen, or generally as well, the traditional players, they miss the connection to the customer. Okay. So I think that is one of the most important points. So why? Because they have the access, the retail dealer network has the access to the customer. It is super important to really have a super good relationship to the dealerships. Nevertheless, I think, and that is really my opinion, that the dealerships will have to reinvent themselves. Okay. So they will not maintain on the status quo that they are currently or in the past, just selling vehicles and servicing the vehicles. The selling of the vehicles, I think maybe we'll come to that point afterwards as well in terms of maybe talking about commerce as well. But the selling of the vehicles, that is not the biggest transaction or the richest in transaction that they can have in the dealership. The most important point is the servicing of the vehicle. And that was ever since like this. Okay. So if you sell a vehicle, there's one transaction, but then afterwards servicing the vehicles, that will maintain really important.
But like, for like a standard, like car OEM where cars would cost like $30,000, for a new car or $40,000, what was the, revenue or was a profit for a dealer selling this car? And what was the yearly maintenance income for a dealer servicing this car?
That is as well a tough question, Alex, and I do not know whether, maybe I cannot say right now the margins of each of the vehicle sales actually because it depends on the vehicle itself. So at Volkswagen, that is definitely different than, for example, Audi. And even at Audi, if you sell an A3, it's different like a R8. Okay. So the somehow commissions that they received or the margins that they received, they are different from vehicle to vehicle, if it's public vehicle or premium vehicle or luxury vehicle. So, but in general, I can see that I do not know right now in percentage right now, these numbers, but if you sell a vehicle and you maintain this in your relationship with the customer in your specific dealership, it will last 4 years. That they will come or have to come back in terms of extended guarantee or warranty topics. And that is here in Brazil, for example, 4 years. And then afterwards they can go to an independent workshop, for example. So it depends as well highly on how they service the vehicle and how good the quality of the servicing is that they, after the 4 years, coming back as well. And there are super much vehicles currently on the road. They are more than 4 years. So it depends highly on the customer satisfaction of the dealer services. Yeah.
But we are seeing now car OEMs like Volvo starting new brands like Polestar with the specific goal of having this direct to consumer connection. So they want to own the customer journey, they want to own the customer data, they want to sell upgrades via over the air software updates, for example, and so that is like one solution Volvo found for this kind of dilemma, what you have just described. Yes, until now, the OEMs did not have any information about the customers. It was a dealer-driven business, and now we have Polestar. We might see like other brands. Tesla obviously started as a direct-to-consumer brand. So if you were sitting like on the decision desk of like a big dealer or dealer network and would think about like the dealer of the future, so what would it look like? Will they still sell the cars and own the relationship, regardless if it's like Volkswagen, BMW, General Motors, or would you recommend moving in a different direction?
Yeah. So this question should be really easy. I think the selling of the vehicle, as I said before already, that would be not my main driver to really be a dealer. Okay. So right now I really have to take the view of the dealer, because even though I worked so much time in the manufacturing area, but I have super much context in the past with the dealers itself. So I would not sell vehicles. I would rather go to direct to consumer or DTC approach, or direct sales or agency model, as everybody is calling it today. And I receive the commissions of each of the sales, because this is the interaction I need with the OEM still as a dealer. Okay. So I receive then my whatever 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Okay. And I put this in my pocket, and all the risks in terms of capital costs and all that stuff, in terms of supply chain, of availability of the vehicle, of as well configuring the vehicle, all these things that I can do in the journey of the customer journey or customer experience is then for the OEM, and I do not have to take care about that. Okay. Then I have on the dealer side the digital showroom. So this is as well, OEM will put these topics maybe with a co-financing within the dealership, that the customer experience should be looking really great in the dealership as well, and flows really digital and automate all these processes, no paperwork anymore. And this is what I would like on the selling position of the vehicle, I would put as a priority for me as a dealer. And then I will focus really on the servicing and really make this service as simple as possible to get the best customer satisfaction, the best retention of the customer as well. So service retention actually to the customer. So this would, I think, would fit really, really well. And then I need on the third step as well, look on different revenue streams and different value streams within the dealer as well. And we can talk about that as well.
But when what I'm seeing in the market, if I follow the press releases of some dealer association, and again, not specifically about the Volkswagen, could be like other associations too, they tend to have a hard time accepting the new reality. They are fighting hard to protect the one-time premium of selling a car. They said, that's our business, please don't take it away, and therefore are putting the OEM, which is now competing with the new Chinese brands, we're going to talk in a minute, with Tesla and others, they are putting them in a tough spot, because without having access to the customer information, without offering this over-the-air updates, all this other all new stuff that's kind of coming in the market, for a consumer, this doesn't make sense to choose this car OEM. So 99% of the dealers I know of, they are not accepting the new reality so far. Is this correct?
This is correct, and it depends in which city, in which country, in which region you live in. Okay, so let's have a glimpse on a global perspective on this question, Alex. I think in Germany, so I'm originally from Germany, and I know how Germans think. Every time looking more on the problems, instead of, being a little bit more innovative or just taking a little bit more risks. That is not really, the region of a German, character. Yeah. And then it comes up to, IT security issues, data protection regulations and all that stuff. So these are the problems that are occurring and is preventing actually to drive innovation. And that's maybe why I'm not returning to Germany.
Oh, okay.
So that is the first one. So, on the second one is pretty similar. The United States, for example, was in January almost 3 weeks in the United States, traveling to one of my peers and customers. And that was really interesting as well, because there the legislation as well is so tough and protect them so much, the dealer sides, that they do not need to change. So if they would like to change and some not, they really every time looking on the legal constraints for the OEM. So that means to change their dealership behavior or initiate an innovative project like an agency model, it is really, really difficult. Nevertheless, coming to Brazil, we have the same legislations, but in this legislations, it's called Lei Ferrari, and there are some maybe a brand regulations as well between the manufacturer and the dealership. Here it says that it's not allowed to sell directly to customers from the OEM perspective. But at the end of the day, if you have the agreement of the association, you can. And we showed them in the past that this is a good way to go, because either way in the future, the trend goes that the car sales are not important. It's more important to own the customer or vehicle life cycle. And this is, as you know, the transaction for sale is maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a little bit awareness before and configuring before and then waiting for the vehicle. But then the service starts and that takes more time. So, and I think we convinced them. And at the end of the day, almost the whole portfolio was sold direct to consumer, if applicable for the dealers.
So it's a case by case or country by country.
Exactly.
But as you're talking about like innovative new approaches, the one country everybody's talking about is obviously China. So we are seeing, especially with BYD, a new manufacturer, obviously way ahead when it comes to battery technology, software capabilities. And they are now starting selling cars even in the German market. I think Sixt said they'd like to get over 100,000 cars over the next 10 years. So more or less 1 or 2% of their whole fleet, offered by BYD as a new brand, which is like very interesting case. So if Sixt is convinced by the quality of those cars, that is definitely a warning sign for German OEMs. So you have been in this industry longer. I'm just waiting for NIO or e-tron or BYD entering the market so I can test drive those cars. Are they really so much more innovative, or is it like the kind of this phantom discussion 10 years ago when the first Chinese car manufacturers tried to enter the European market or the US market and they all failed miserably?
Yeah, that is again a tougher question. I think there are some approaches from some of the brands or from the groups. For example, Geely. I like the brand, the group, because they have brands incorporated. For example, as you said before, Alex, Volvo and Polestar, for example, and they have one innovative brand. It's called Lynk & Co. And if you look on the side of Lynk & Co, for example, it is really, really interesting how they position themselves. So as well, the approach what we talked before, digital retail, they have a totally different retail model. So it's not a dealership anymore, almost no cars in the showroom, more driven by experience, almost a co-working space actually. And you attach the customer and the younger generation to such a vehicle as well. And they have a slogan, just need to just look it up shortly, but I thought it was really good, and it's called leave the ownership behind. Okay, so I repeat it again: leave the owner shit behind. So it's really like do not own a car anymore, just use it. And I think that is interesting approach overall. And everybody knows subscription is a really huge topic in automotive as well right now. That you can really, provide mobility and not really selling vehicles. So, and generally saying is why they are better than maybe the traditional ones, because exactly of that, because Volkswagen is super old company, so really traditional, really roots in the before Second World War. And right now, these companies are all youngsters, like 2014. I think NIO as well was founded 2014. Lynk & Co, I think similar. Polestar is a new venture from Volvo. So you can see that these younger companies, they do not have this attitude or this mindset in terms of, being so much product centric and not customer centric. I think that is the most important point. They're looking more of operational excellence and not value generating. So these, I think, the points are the difference between those new brands and the traditional OEMs, like, for example, the German ones.
Okay. I got it. But this Lynk & Co, I'm just on the website. So they're trying to sell me, a subscription. So it's really kind of this Netflix thing. It's here in Germany. It's 550 euros a month. I can give it back whenever I want. It's including 1,200 kilometers. It's definitely an interesting model, and it's obviously a battery driven car. So you would say, or you would agree that some of those Chinese new brands entering the new markets definitely do have a very innovative go-to-market approach, but still needs to be proven if BYD or other brands can really convince the European customers, which was not possible the last 20, 30 years, especially not in the German market.
Yes. I agree. But if you see only the numbers, Alex, I think that is overwhelming and as well terrifying for the Germans, okay? Or as well for the Americans or for the Japanese. So the Chinese brands are really having really steep growth rates. Yeah. If you see, for example, Shangan Group, for example, with 2.3 million, I think that was 2021. Then we have 2 million from the Geely Group. And there are, for example, I think it was BYD, for example, that have steep growth rates from 75%, I guess. So you can see the need is there and customers want to have exactly the accesses. And it is as well a topic of pricing. The prices of these vehicles are drastically lower than, for example, the e-tron. Yeah. And you can see what's in the vehicle and how you really interact with the car. With the car, it's different as well.
Okay. But it's not only pricing is one issue, it's also the supply chain, because if I would try to order an e-tron today or a new Mercedes E-Class or a BMW or even like a good stuffed Peugeot, I have to wait a year or so. If I now go to the Tesla website, especially if I focus on Tesla Model 3 or Model Y, which are the mass market products, I can have it like in four weeks. I thought the supply chain issue is over already. So what makes it so hard to provide cars?
Yeah, that is, if I would have this answer, I think me as an advisor right now, because that's what I am currently. So I'm not working for Volkswagen anymore. So advising companies right now in terms of business transformation. If I have this answer and have a fast solution in terms of getting rid of all these supply chain bottlenecks, that will be really great. So, and the chip, I think, is only one topic. And so the semiconductors, for example, I think that was only one topic where it all started. But then when the war hits as well in Russia and Ukraine, for example, we had, for example, from the Volkswagen Group, a plan for the Kabelbaum. I forgot the name right now in English, but a really important one, part from a vehicle, that was located in Ukraine. And actually we needed needed a different option, but
a wiring harness. I just looked it up.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And, so this was a super big point as well. And if you can see then, Alex, if you have then the semiconductors, then the wireless, the harness topic and all these other parts that coming up then afterwards, it screws up totally the supply chain. So you have to have really a more flexible one. And this is as well in terms of the traditional companies, and as well on Volkswagen side, they have a little bit different purchasing, than or partnershiping, with the different brands and companies than, for example, NIO has. So if you read, for example, only 2022, the topics of NIO, what partnerships they have, it's amazing. So as really looking innovative to the future, this is really where all comes together. And the pandemic shows this as well, that companies, Alex, needed to get a little bit closer together and, verticalize actually their supply chains. And this is, I think, the way to go. And this is from the traditional companies what I do not see that much. I have an example afterwards, maybe from Volkswagen as well, in terms of e-vehicles. I think really positive one, but it's not that much than the Chinese are doing, for example. And, there, why you can as well receive maybe a NIO earlier than, for example, an Audi or a Porsche.
Okay, let's hope that the supply chain issues are going to be solved like in 2023, because I don't think customers will accept waiting for a car like a year or two, especially the ones that have been living through the times of GDR 30, 40 years ago, where the waiting time was 12 years. Okay, then we have seen one innovative company here on the market, this BMW, trying to trying to move in the subscription market. I think that was what we were talking about in the e-commerce industry a lot of time. You can sell subscriptions in the car. You can add car seat heating now on a monthly basis or by usage. So every time you're using seat heating for your seat, it's like $0.1 or so. When they introduced it, and I don't think it was kind of a presentation where they thought, okay, that's how we think about adding new features in the car, so we can produce fully equipped cars all the time, which makes production a bit cheaper. But you have to buy some of the features via an app. There was a big outcry. So the market said that's a stupid idea. If there's like car heating in a car, I don't want to subscribe to it for $7 a month. So for me, I have a hard time to understand what the idea of BMW really was to present it in that way. On the other side, I see that's most likely one of the very few ways you can sell on top of the selling price. If you're not in a subscription business like Lynk or maybe Neo or Polestar is getting into, that's a smart way to sell more. What's your view on this?
Yeah, here as well, Alex, some perspectives. Yeah. First of all, we talked about direct sales. Here applies as well. First of all, it was at Volkswagen, we called it function on demand. Exactly what you're saying, what BMW launched as well. So it was already, I think, in the discussions 7-8 years ago. So it's not really a new topic. Okay. The problem was, or is still, how to integrate that best in the vehicles. So connected services in general is a very intensive discussed topic in Volkswagen Group as well, in general as well, at Mercedes and BMW, and I know as well. So coming back, so the functional demand in general, I think it's a super good approach, because you have some topics in the car that you maybe never use or only in a specific time frame. For example, winter, summer. That's the easiest one. What you said with the seat heater. So that is, I think, really good. And you can book it, additionally, if you need it for maybe a day, week, month, or whatever. Coming back to the direct sales model. So these ones, what you purchase after the purchase of the vehicle at the dealership, it goes in the pockets of the OEM. That was every time said. So that means if the dealer is not selling the optional within the purchase of the vehicle itself, the rest goes to the OEM. So that was actually an approach from the OEM to get a little bit as well margin on digital products or digital services. Okay. Cannot talk about the targets itself in general, for example, at Audi, but what I can say is that was amount of margin that we wanted to have at Audi for digital services and digital products. So that is the first thing. But in general, Alex, and that is maybe to conclude this, it's a tough task or tough action, because it's not only digitalization here, because it combines a lot of departments within or areas within the OEM. It's engineering, it's supply chain management, it's production, it's logistics. But why get it so complex? Because the point here is that the car needs to be manufactured, completely equipped. And the total cost of ownership, or the cost itself of the vehicle, needs to be amortized by these digital services and products. And this is only possible, in my opinion, if you can scale it effectively. So, because then the production has less, less variations. Okay. You can produce leaner, and it's only changing maybe the wheels, the color of the vehicle, and the interior maybe. But in terms of optional, you equip it fully. So it makes maybe the production leaner and more effective or more efficient. But at the end of the day, the business out of the functional demand margins needs to be really high, and you have to scale it accordingly to really have really a super good new feature that everybody wants to have. And this is depending then again as well on the customer. The feedback was really bad, my opinion. I think it's really, really good if really applied properly. And last thing here, Alex, it's comparable maybe a little bit with Apple again, okay? The automotive industry every time compares itself as well with Apple, and especially as well Volkswagen did. And that was the same thing that Apple did with the chargers, okay? They get rid of the chargers, and then you can buy the chargers on top of it, okay, afterwards, okay? And they make $1 billion business out of it, only of this action that they took. The people were, sorry to say that, but were pissed off. But at the end of the day, it's working, still working, and revenues are getting skyrocketing as well again for Apple. So you can see, it's not a really easy question to answer, and it depends really as well again on the regions maybe. And let us see how that will work out. But in general, connected services, it's a really, really high discussed topic within the group currently.
Okay.
And still will.
Okay, maybe let's skip the connected services. Because there's like one other war area in the car, I would say, which is the car display. So some of even like the German premium vendors do have a hard time to catch up with Apple and Google when it comes to simple applications. So even some of the dealers say, please use Google Maps because it's always up to date and you can use it with CarPlay. Or Android Auto, which is actually in some cars a very hard time to connect it. So I had one rental car a couple of months ago, which was an Audi Q7, so most likely one of the most premium cars Audi is offering, but connecting it with Android Auto in a reliable way, I have to tell you that was a very, very tough thing to do. So eventually I gave it up. I used the mobile display. But again, the question came up for me, and we had it in the car. So who will own the car display in the future? So obviously Google Maps navigation is a very important part. Then in the future of like electrified cars, it's also like finding charging stations where you need a very, very up-to-date network because you want to know if the charging station is available, if there's like other cars, you have to wait, whatever. So there's like more and more real-time information needed in the car display. You don't want to listen to radio anymore. You want to have your own Spotify list. Then you want to have the same experience like in the Spotify app on your phone and not like a shitty experience on an old display. So and some car OEMs actually gave up. They said, okay, we are not able to catch up with the innovation we are seeing at Google and Apple. Polestar is an example. Polestar said, okay, it's Android Auto first. That's actually the operating system of the future. On the other hand, I would say yes. I think it's most likely a fair assessment, but like the end game is definitely ownership over the display because you can sell stuff. And then if you want to sell stuff and you want to earn some money, you need to own it. So what's your view here?
Yeah. We find us here with connected services in the first speech. So it continues here because this is, I think, a really important point as well. So infotainment and connected services are separate things. Yes, we know. But at the end of the day, they are somehow combined with each other. So if you, for example, have a service that you would like to put on the infotainment, so it appears in your infotainment within the car and not on your iPhone or on your Android phone, then you need information from the vehicle itself. For example, find me the next charging station. Okay, I need a geolocation. I can pull it out for my iPhone or for my Android phone. Yes, I can, but I can use as well some specifics from the vehicle itself. Okay, to be a little bit more specified, or maybe interaction with the vehicle or something happened, or something from the vehicle itself is not running well and it needs to find the next station or the next workshop or even the next charger. So this interference is really complicated and really complex, and as well in terms of the Volkswagen Group, for example, as well divided in different areas, and that's why it's maybe not the best service currently, but I can say it because I'm living it right now. It's on full throttle to really improve this experience from the customer itself. coming to your questions, Alex, who is owning actually the display? I think, and this is my point of view, it should be owned by the OEM still. Why? Because this is as well, like the dealership, the interaction to your customer and the best one that you can have within the car. Okay. If it's the infotainment or the mobile phone, this is a question I think I ask as well several times within the Volkswagen Group. Okay, what is more important, the infotainment or the iPhone or the Android phone? This is, I think, important because the mobile phone we are still currently every time with you. Okay, if you do not have a mobile phone with you, you're feeling naked, right? The infotainment is statically within the vehicle. So how maybe to use this? Okay, and there is my opinion, okay, it's more maybe the mobile phone and then connecting really smartly, with your experience with the Q7, really smartly to the infotainment, and it's mirroring all the service that you already have on your mobile phone. That gave the customer, I think, my opinion, the best customer experience, the best convenience. Okay, right now, coming up to how does a car of the future is looking like, and you're looking, for example, autonomous driving, or myself, for example, I'm driving almost every time with the Uber here in Sao Paulo. I'm sitting on the back seat, okay? And that is a point as well. How then in the future should this look like? And the OEM needs to have this in mind, not looking only on the present side, the customer is driving the vehicle. No, looking at as well in the future, maybe it will be really only a capsule that you get in and you get out. And what do you have with you is again only the mobile phone and not the vehicle itself. So this is a really tough question exactly because of the innovative trends that are coming up and how the automotive industry is putting the car to the front and not really the convenience or the customer experience. I think this is where people needs to a little bit focus on right now.
If you were asking an average Brazilian car owner about like what is his dream car, are German cars still coming up top of the list, or is it already cars from other countries, US, China, and there are now more coming?
Yeah, in Brazil, I think because we do not have that many electric vehicles yet, and not the new brands like even the Tesla, for example. They're starting right now, I guess, and BYD is coming. Then Great Wall Motors is coming with electric vehicles right now. NIO is not existing, for example. So this, I think, still the traditional ones are really top of mind. And you can see as well the Brazilians are, I love them, but they are as well a little bit status driven. Okay, that what we had in the past as well in Germany. I think it's changing a little bit. But they are status driven, and for sure, people are looking on the premium segment like Audi, Mercedes, BMW, even as well the Volvo is really, really good in shape here in Brazil, or even a Porsche or Bugatti, Ferrari. So Ferrari was, I think, 2006, I think in South Brazil was the biggest volume of sales within the global world after Modena in Italy. So, Italy. So you can see, so Brazilians are really picky in terms of, good vehicles and premium and luxury vehicles. Yeah.
Very nice. So, we need to do like an update when the Chinese brands are, eventually, breaking into the German market, which will happen in 2023. So, let's see what's gonna happen there. So electrification in the Brazilian market is like lagging behind a couple of years. So no danger there. On the connectivity of, Android Auto and, Apple CarPlay, we definitely have to talk again. So I'm not happy from what I've seen so far in different car OEMs, and happy to see you soon in Berlin.